the racing world is fascinating because there's different regions have different kinds of racing, okay? And so, you talk Indiana, you're talking traditional non-wing sprint cars, okay? Erin, you and I are familiar with upstate New York where you're talking the beloved big block modifieds.
Yep.
Okay, Central Pennsylvania, of course, sprint cars and everything. When you look at the Southeast, you're talking late model country. I mean, this is red clay, big old wedge-looking late models. Every track has a late model tour, a limited late model tour, a 602 late model tour, a crate late model tour, and they're all running and they're all packing them in and they're all doing things really, really well. On the dirt track side. The asphalt side, it's the super late models and late model stock cars.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's great when the regions have it. But what's also great is when someone steps into a region and kind of messes things up a little bit. Okay. And Erin, I'm going to go back to upstate New York. That's where you got your start.
Yep.
Is modified country, the Empire Super Sprints. How about him? It was a Dick Carberry.
Yep.
And who was
Chuck Miller.
Chuck Miller. Dick Carberry. And they said, we need sprint cars around here. Okay, and so they go in, and now we not only have one sprint car tour in New York State, but we have two.
Two.
Exactly, with the Patriots and ESS.
And there's a New England one now.
There's New England sprint cars of New England. Up in Canada, there's sprint cars over in Ontario.
SOS.
Of course. And then down you've got URC and all of Pennsylvania and everything. So I love, and I'm going to be completely honest, my early sprint car memories were not good because it was the early years of ESS. And as I look at it, when you first start a sprint car tour, it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges you have is that the tracks are not geared up for push-start cars.
Yes.
And so you'd go to Brewerton to see a race of modifieds, and they'd have two push trucks.
And take forever.
And then they'd go out, and then someone would flip, and they'd go red. And it's like, what? And now we got to do this again? Okay, so...
Man, I didn't know you were such a...
Oh, no, I didn't like it at all.
Wow.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it at all. But then as you start to learn about it and start to see, I think honestly what's funny about that is one of the tracks, and this is a non-starter division, it's not sprint cars, but when I would take my occasional trip to Oswego with the super modifieds, where they got 40 push trucks for 24 cars.
They've always known that.
And I'm like, well, that push starting is not really a problem.
And I actually remember that kind of myself. I've always loved sprint cars. The first time I ever saw it was the World of Outlaws at Syracuse. So
oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Because we used to race quarter midgets at the little track there on the fairgrounds. And I remember watching, like, I was 5 or 6 years old, and I have a vivid memory of telling my dad, these people are nuts. Who would ever drive one of these things? Because they just were so fast there. And I always go back to that memory as I'm like, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
But the first time I went to Knoxville, I was blown away by the number of push trucks. And I thought, man, we need these back in New York State because Knoxville, every car, you know what it's like there. There's 100 push trucks in Knoxville.
It's crazy. So I love when people, so we set all of this up. Okay, she's Erin Evernham, and I'm Steve Post. Okay, this is Wing Nation, presented by Dryden, by DRF Racing, and by Hercules Tires. We're in the Hercules Tire studio in Concord. We talked about the Southeast being late model country. Mm-hmm. There is a man for the last, I don't know how many years, that has been preaching the sprint car gospel in the Southeast, and one convert at a time. This evangelist, Pete Walton, has been bringing him to sprint car racing. And he has done phenomenal stuff. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk to Pete Walton today, USCS president, founder, owner, chief cook, bottle washer, all-around good guy, and great conversationalist. And we're going to talk to Pete, and looking forward to that. Love when we get a chance to talk to Pete Walton. They're coming through Carolinas this weekend. Fingers crossed that the hurricanes and everything leave us alone. But it's going to be good. So Pete Walton's going to join us here on the podcast. You know, Plan B Sales, founded in 2010, started as a Lionel and Chase Authentics apparel distributor. Now Auto World, Greenlight Collectibles, Sam Bass Artwork, Brand Art, and University of Racing Lions.
They have a huge inventory, and they have partnerships with Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Christopher Bell, and other drivers. Use promo code MRN for free shipping on orders over $20.
I don't know if you caught this last week. Logan Schuchart. How about this one? It was at the famed Devil's Bowl, the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. David Gravel. Here's Johnny Gibson with a call on Dirt Vision.
And now for the Dryden death-defying move of the week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Schuchart gets closer again in traffic. Battle for the lead out of turn 2 in traffic. New leader Logan Schuhart at the end of the back straightaway. Logan Schuhart, just like that, catches and passes David Gravel. Logan Schuhart will lead lap 15.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Deaf, the official DEF of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Pride. Passion.
Performance.
We are.
We are.
We are Team Dryden.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers, whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
The sprint car world is rolling along, and it's rolling along in the Southeast. USCS continues to preach the sprint car gospel in the Carolinas, and lead evangelist, well, I'm not sure we've ever referred to him as that, lead evangelist of the sprint car movement here in the Southeast, Pete Walton, joins us on the line. Hello, Pete. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Yeah, hello, Steve. You know, I was just making a post there on the Carolina Facebook page, giving a little more information about the race. Constant job.
Constant. Yep. It never ends, does it?
No, about 2 o'clock every morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, I want to talk about promoting races in the Southeast, and I want to talk about what you got coming up this weekend, but I want to talk about where you got started where did your passion and how did you get started in sprint car racing?
Well, you know, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and
okay,
we always consider that sort of one of the hotbeds of sprint car racing. Got a lot of great drivers came from there, and especially from Riverside Speedway. They call it Riverside International Speedway now, but to me it's still Riverside Speedway over in West Memphis, Arkansas, right across the river from Memphis. And my dad took me to races when I was about 3 years old over there. And then also my uncle was a promoter at the Fairgrounds track in Memphis. They had a quarter-mile dirt track there back in the 50s, and I remember only going there one time, but he had a service station he also operated, and it was about 2 blocks from my house. And I remember one time when I was a little kid going down there and crawling one of those cars and hitting the button, firing the motor up, and everybody in the shop kind of panicked because there's a kid sitting over there firing up a stock car, you know, or whatever it was at the time. But I got started going to the races when I was 3 at Riverside, and we're racing there 2 weeks from now for the 4th time we've been there this year. So it's kind of like going home there to me. You know, I grew up around Hooker Hood and Ricky Hood, and a lot of great drivers over there, and used to go to the race with Hooker when I was a young guy in my teen years, and some other people. So, you know, that's where I kind of got started, my passion for racing. And then I moved to Atlanta when I was 34 years old and started go-kart racing. And I was a IKF Grand National Champion in 3 classes one year, and I ran a lot of WKA go-kart races. And I said, well, there's no place to go but down from here, you know. So, and I was an independent guy. I just had about 3 different kind of go-karts. And I'd go to the track. Me and my buddies would just swap everything around and run whichever one was the fastest. And so we got a sprint car. Hooker kind of helped me get into sprint car racing, and Ricky, I bought my first car from Blackie Fortune, actually, who Ken Schrader used to drive for, and Ricky Hood drove for him, and I went up and bought a car. They were Gambler chassis dealers, and bought a car, put it together up in Boonville, Indiana, and the rest is history on that. And I raced sprint cars for 16 years, and then I had in 2000, I had open heart surgery and tried to race a little bit the next year. My wife talked me into quitting and said, you know, you got the series, which I had started in 97. I had other people kind of managed it and run it at the racetrack, and I just put the schedule together and got to race my own series for about 3 years or 4 years. Then I had that heart surgery and finally just backed off of driving and started being a promoter, and that's when it started really growing.
Wow.
We started off with 13 races the first year, and I think we ran 11 of them. Got rained out once, maybe canceled one. Then after that, it went to 22 races the second year, and then I think we had about 30 the next year, and it kept growing. Our first champion was Red Stauffer from Winter Park, Florida, and then Eddie Gallagher was our champion the next year, and Marshall Skinner and Eddie Gallagher split the championship in 1999. Eddie was a pavement champion because we ran pavement, started in 99, ran pavement and dirt, and Marshall won the dirt championship. And then after that, we continued the pavement stuff and kind of quit it, and then came back and ran a few pavement races in just a few years ago. Can't remember which ones now, but we went to Atlanta Motor Speedway. They called us up and asked us if we would come down and run on the quarter mile right after the Cup cars qualified on the Cup weekend. And one of our old racers, Ricky Stenhouse, said he had the fast time with the Cup cars the first year we were there, and ran 2 years in a row there and replaced the Cup series, the truck series, and then they brought them back. NASCAR talked them into bringing the trucks back the next year, and we kind of went put the asphalt back on the shelf. But we've done a lot of different things. We used to be the only guys that ran pavement and dirt in the same series with wings, and we finally got figured out that most people want to see sprint cars on dirt as far as what we've discovered by far, and stuck with the dirt.
Yeah, and it's
the story of my life there. Been doing this. It's our 24th season. Next year, hopefully, we'll have our 25th anniversary race at Talladega Short Track on the same weekend we started. Our first race was April 25th, 1997, won by a familiar name in our series, a guy in a 10 car by the name of Terry Gray.
Wow,
that is so. Pete, I want to go back to the years when you were driving. I think you said you were in Indiana at that point. What series were you running with? I
didn't actually live in Indiana.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Memphis.
Yeah.
And I had moved to Atlanta by then, but I used to go to Indiana and race quite a bit.
You race sprint cars out of Atlanta? That seems at that point a difficult task.
I used to keep my car most of the time either at Blackie Fortune shop or Galen Fox with him up there some, and then Sam Jones did my motor work and at the time, and had you'd leave the car somewhere and go back home, come back and race 2 weeks later, usually about every other week. Used to race at Bloomington, Indiana, and I've been to Putnamville a couple of times, but several tracks up in that area, and ran the Ohio Speed Week a couple of times. I'd drive the car some nights, and Rick Unger would drive it some nights, and then Danny Smith, most exciting race I ever had there as well. Almost won the All-Star final there at Eldora, and that's how I met Danny Smith. He drove my car one night, and he races with us pretty frequently now. I think he's going to run the rest of our races the rest of the year. But, he's a pretty cool guy. But Ricky, I used to hang around with Ricky Hood. We kind of followed him around everywhere he went. At the wing car and the non-wing too a little bit, and but I used to go back and forth to Indiana and race in Indiana and Ohio mostly when I first got started, and then got kind of tired of the travel, and I said, man, we need to do something around here, and I got another guy off the bench that used to have the American Winged Outlaw series, and he'd kind of flopped at making money promoting, and I had to help get it started back up, and I was kind of a solid partner in the deal just so we'd have some racing. And then we did that for about a year, and they were continuing to lose money. And I said, man, guys, I'm getting out. I'll come race, but I'm not going to keep throwing money away because they weren't listening to me, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And then we started our own series in 1997, and everything's history, I guess. we've been doing this a long time. We're going to have, let's see, when is it? What somebody think? Oh, we just had our 1001 race at Talladega Short Track. Our 800. Oh, wait a minute, what? 801 races. We just had our 801st race at Talladega Short Track, our very last race. We got rained out after that. And I told everybody we were starting on our second 800 because we ran our 800th race on Saturday night of Labor Day weekend at a track called ECM Speedway down a little above Birmingham there in Alabama. And the next night we did our traditional Sunday night race at Talladega Short Track, and it was very successful, by the way. And but that was our 801st race.
My gosh, Pete,
I've been to all of them except the ones when I was in the hospital a couple times. And one time I was in the hospital for 8 weeks with a disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I was paralyzed from head to foot. And my wife and Stan Harrison, that now is the general manager at Montgomery Motor Speedway in Montgomery, Alabama, asphalt track. Him and her had to go put all the races on. My daughter, who you've met, I'm sure, Steve. But that's what we did. We've had a couple bumps in life there from health issues, but other than that, just mostly out here working on putting races on now.
Pete, we talked at the top of the show, and I introduced you as the sprint car evangelist here in the Southeast. The challenge of promoting sprint car races, and it might be easier now because you've done it with so much success, especially the last few years. It's just been wildly successful. But bringing sprint cars to late model country, there's had to be some challenges along the way as you've done this.
Oh, yeah. We used to have to put on a lot of races ourselves, and we still do put on quite a few races ourselves. But like this Friday night race at Carolina, we kind of had a schedule change there we had to do, and had to call up Bruce Arance over there and say, "Hey, Bruce, how about we got this Friday night we need to put something with. We were supposed to be at Livonia, and we got rained out, and then they had kind of a scheduling conflict for doing it with our Cherokee race. We're doing the Saturday night, and Scott Childerson owns both tracks. He said, "Hey, I promised these guys from the Ultimate Late Model Series that they could run the race over there that night." He said, "If I really got to make them upset, I'll do it." He said, "Well, why don't you call Bruce?" So I called Bruce up, and Bruce said, "Sure, Pete, come on." He said, "But you'll have to do it. I'm having a big stock car race the week before. You just had a big street stock race over there last Friday night, and we're hoping everybody's sprint car fans are going to come back out this Friday night and watch what we think's a pretty good show, But we, we've had to do a lot of races ourselves, and I don't mind doing that usually because I can figure out how to get people to the racetrack usually to watch a sprint car race, because I do that 24 hours a day, and sometimes the track owners are used to doing what they do, just run what they run, and they're pretty happy running the late model series. It seemed to be successful, but I think right now we may outdraw most of the late model series except for a couple of major ones, And I know at Talladega we were putting that race on Labor Day weekend. Lynn Phillips said, "Pete, this is going to be as big as the Lucas race we had here." It turned out pretty big, but so we actually, I'm shocked that this year's gone as well as it has, but it has. It's been one of the better years for everybody because most of the other sports are shut down, it seems like, for longer than we have.
Yep. Well,
absolutely.
We won't talk about that too much, I don't think, but
we won't get into the mess of that. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll avoid that. Pete, you've had some incredible racers in your series that have been champions multi-time. I think of Terry Gray, obviously, Kenny Adams, Danny Smith. You've mentioned it, but for a series that's based in the Southeast, you have created or helped groom some of the best sprint car racers, Hall of Famers even.
Yeah, we've had some. I mean, Terry Gray, that's hopefully one day he's in the Hall of Fame. That guy's won at like about 110 racetracks, and let's hope he makes it to the Hall of Fame. But he's not in it yet. Danny Smith is, made it before he started racing with us much. And it's great to have somebody like him along. And, we even had Aaron Crocker race with us a couple times. And but Morgan Turpin, I'd say she made a tremendous contribution over the last 11 seasons to USCS. She's been our national champion twice and ranked as high as 5th in the nation by the Sprint Car Hall of Famer 1 year, and always mentioned, usually. And we've had some really great drivers. We got Mark Smith right now, has been racing with us most of the time. He took about a month off, or he would be leading the points. He was when he left, but he's won 13 races, and actually his teammate, Dale Howard's won 6 of our races and hadn't even ran them all, So those guys have been wildly successful this year. Mark builds his own race cars and does a tremendous job with them, I guess. And we had, some other people have won. Justin Barger, he's going to be there this weekend, I believe, and he lives over near you guys in he lives near Hickory up there in Denver, I believe. No, he's in Mooresville, or in that area. It's a town right there by Mooresville.
Yeah, I think they live in Huntersville. Their shop's in Denver.
Live in Huntersville?
Yeah, and I think the shop's in Denver. So you had it right pretty
yeah,
close.
he's somewhere close there. I think his shop is down by Calico Coatings or somebody.
Yep.
And he's won a few races. He won we were at East Lincoln Speedway on a Saturday night deal we had to put on at the last minute. Kind of had a schedule change. All this COVID-19 has kind of flipped a few things around, but we've mostly been able to stay the course on our schedule. But he won at East Lincoln, put on a heck of a show, and we had Ricky Stenhouse came over there and raced his sprint car. They hauled it all the way from Memphis so Ricky could race, and we almost got rained out, stood there, and it rained on us, and we were really nervous about the event, and the great people around that area came out anyway and watched a great sprint car race there at East Lincoln. And, just the track I'm sure y'all are very familiar with, especially you, Erin, right?
But, yes.
Ray Evernham, your husband, he owned that track. I guess he still may have some interest in it. I don't even know. But,
well, yeah, actually, we do, actually. I think we are.
Yeah,
we still
I think
hold
that's
the note on the racetrack.
That's the way they explained it to me. But,
yes.
Yeah, we were sitting there when it rained, we were sitting there. It was about time to go hot lapping, and it was 166 people in the grandstands. And I'm standing there thinking, man, this is going to be a real mess here before it's over with. And I look over there, and there's Ricky, and his dad, and Brad Roller driven all the way from Memphis and hauled the car over there for, and all these guys from everywhere. And we ended up putting on a show, and then showed up and packed the place. Well, as many people as they'll allow you to put in North Carolina, with us all social distancing like we were and everything. But, it was a great race, and got through with 2 minutes before the curfew. That was really cool. The cops, the men in blue were standing there saying, we have to shut it down at 11 p.m. It's pretty strict there. I said, okay, I hope we make it. And actually, we ran our feature, and there was one other feature after us, and they finished at 10:58. So it was a great night considering we had the rain delay and everything.
Yeah. That night, that was the darndest night. I was over there, and with the rain delay and everything, I'm like, this is never going to happen. No, it's going to happen. Oh, they're going to get in the curfew. No, they're not going to be in the curfew. And when I got done, I'm standing in the pits. I'm like, wow, that was good. The crowd was great. I mean, it was good stuff. It really was. And I think that's the thing that we look at with it. Pete, one of the periods of the year where you have just absolutely outdone everybody in the sprint car world is when it gets about end of January, February. We know everyone goes to Volusia, East Bay. You have found a sweet spot down there in Florida and Mississippi and lower Alabama. In that spring, when everyone's sitting in California rained out or sitting in Pennsylvania rained out, you have found a really, really good tour down there that you do each and every year in the spring.
Yeah, and we're fixing to start what we're going to call our Fall American Tour. Instead of All American, the Fall American Tour. We're starting that at Riverside. Going to be 10 races again, kind of like that winter heat deal you're talking about.
Okay.
And actually, the winter heat deal, we're going to crank it up. And if everything goes like I talked to the gentleman the other day, he called me about having a race. We'll crank it up over in the Carolinas, I think on the last weekend of January, and then we go to Henry County, and I'm not going to announce the track yet there, but we're going to Henry County, back at Henry County on the first weekend of February, and then we always skip the second weekend so they can have the Ronald Laney Memorial at East Bay without us conflicting with each other, and then we go over a weekend, and the following weekend after that race we'll be at Southern Raceway. I'm sure we hadn't completely finalized all this, but that's where we'll be, and then we'll go to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and Magnolia over in Columbus, Mississippi, and then we go to Chatham, Louisiana. We just talked about that race. It may be a really big one next spring, and then we come back and run somewhere over in Alabama or Mississippi, and then go home, take a week off, and then crank up the regular season about the first weekend of April. So
Boy.
We'll have a 10 or 12 race winter heat, and then, hopefully have some nice looking hoodies for everybody to buy and all that stuff, and keep moving, and just we need to slow down a little bit. We're about to, I think we're probably ran about as many races as the World of Outlaws here this year, but we've gotten pretty stretched out. And maybe big problem is we get a lot of people calling, that they call you up after the racing season's almost started and want to know about a race. And I said, well, we do this in October, November. We have our schedule done. And I remember days when I used to be calling people up begging for races, way back there. But now we always, we treat everybody right. We try to do a good job promoting it for them. I get them to let me do some of the things that they might think they're good at, but on sprint cars we're better at. And we just we figured out a few things. Been in a good last few years, actually.
No doubt, you have. You've done well with local marketing and Facebook marketing and all of that fun stuff, and you've done really well with it. And speaking of local marketing, I'm looking forward to it this weekend. Friday night at Carolina Speedway in Gastonia, Saturday night at Cherokee Speedway, the track your mama warned you about over in Gaffney. Pete, should be a good time. You got a good contingent of North Carolina racers, a good contingent of Florida racers. You got a good contingent of racers from out in the western part of the Southeast. It's always a pretty good combination when you roll into the Carolinas.
Yeah, it really is. Let's hope the weather is well. It looks like it was a little scary there for a day or so. Now it's kind of backing back down. We were supposed to run actually a Livonia and Cherokee a couple of weeks ago, and it was 80% chance of rain the day before. And we got some of these guys come 8 hours, and I said, man, we can't do this to these guys. We're going to get rained out both days. It ended up being dry the first day, and second day it rained a little bit, and they were actually able to run a regular show. So we're looking forward to going to Cherokee. We hadn't been there all year, and we usually go twice the past few years, and I'm sure those fans are looking forward to the sprint cars. You got Johnny Bridges and Lance Moss will be there to try to defend their home turf, and Lance actually got out and raced a little more this year than he has been, and he's been all over. But Johnny ran our tour and ran second in the points last year, and this year he didn't have the sponsorship he did, so he's just mostly making those races over here, and I'm sure he's going to be there. And Jake Carkland was over at Carolina promoting the race for us the other night along with Johnny. Had his car on display, and he was the Carolina Sprint Tour champion last year, and he'll be there. And Barger's planning on being there, I believe. And then, of course, Terry Gray and good old Jeff Willingham from Mississippi comes over and races. And, we got some guys out of Florida. Matt Kurtz has made most of Southern Thunder races, and he runs really good. And we can't not mention Connor Leffler. He's second in our points. A 15-year-old young man drives a blue 22 car, and he's second in our points and actually won 2 races in a row. He won at Dothan, Alabama, and Sonora Raceway in third weekend of August there. Very impressive. Made the last lap passes to win both those races. And that young man has quite a future in racing, and He's from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, so another great Carolina driver, you know. And then today I got a text message from Rick Weller, who has been, I don't know if he is now, still the president of URC, and apparently he and Josh are planning on coming down and racing this weekend. So I'm sure we'll get some. Of course, we got Mally Schuster and Jim Schuster. They're third and fourth in our points, and they're from Newville, Pennsylvania, but they've bought a shop and base their stuff out of Estaboga, Alabama, about a mile from Talladega Short Track. So they've made every show and got those guys coming, and it's going to be just another great race, you know.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun time. Can't wait to get out there and catch up with you guys and see the racing and carrying on. Pete, as always, we appreciate the conversation. I love that we talk a little bit about the history of where you came from, because I think we talk about the here and now a lot, but it's good to know your background on it. And we wish the best, and we'll look forward to catching up with you in person this weekend.
Well, one thing about old Pete, you don't have to milk much out of me. I can talk.
Really? Say it isn't so.
You didn't know I talked that much, did you, Steve?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that at all. It's all good, Pete. I'll tell you what, I love what you're doing here in the Southeast, because I'm selfishly like to sleep in my own bed and see sprint cars, and boy, you give us a lot of chances to do that. So thanks for the time. We'll see you this weekend.
Hey, we talked for quite a while, and we didn't even mention Kyle Larson once.
That's right.
That man has had a phenomenal year. He has done so much for sprint car racing. If you can't appreciate Kyle Larson at this point, you're not really a fan, are you?
No, you're absolutely right. It's been phenomenal. It really has been. It's been the story of the year, that's for sure. All right. Hey, Pete, we appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
You got it. Pete Walton from USCS joining us there. And what a passion he has. Oh. I mean, it's just unreal, obviously, listening to him talk. And I wanted to get that background because I knew a little bit of it, but I didn't know all of it.
Yeah.
And he gets it honest.
Oh, for
he
sure.
He really does. And I think you said he ain't scared to chat. That's for sure.
No. I remember some drivers' meetings. You had to go ready. Like, it wasn't going to be a short and sweet drivers' meeting. Yeah. You go and you.
I love what, and again, and a lot of the reason, I mean, I love the local racers as we've gotten to know. He mentioned Jake Karkland. Man, what a good family they are. Lance Moss, of course, Lance Moss. We all love Lance Moss. Johnny Bridges. Man, I talked to him at Carolina last time. Gosh, what a cool dude that is, you know, and Justin Barger, you know, we all know them. And I think that's the thing. And it's like, I'm selfishly really want to see them succeed and keep thriving because selfishly I like the fact that this weekend I can jump in my car on Friday, go see a sprint car race, come back home, sleep in my own bed, jump in my car on Saturday, go see a sprint car race and sleep in my own bed. And I've been doing a little bit with the 305 stuff too, which is good. We're in a neat spot here in the Carolinas, and this goes back, and we talked a little bit about Tuesday. You've got Millbridge with the Outlaw carts and now with the micros. The Carolina Sprint Tour, the 305s, is rolling really, really well. That's a really good group of cars. And then 3-4 times a year, Pete comes rolling through with USCS. So you've almost got this ladder system. And then obviously the 410s are at Charlotte at the dirt track and that sort of thing. And we're not graduating people there yet. We're graduating people. Well, I say that, but Steve Cerniak, who's from Pennsylvania here in the Carolinas, he's gone back and run a lot of 410 races this year. But I like what we're doing here in the Southeast with the ladder system and getting kids started at Millbridge, kids that are starting to go 305 racing. And then they'll go 360 racing, and then Lord knows where they end up. But it's good.
Well, and like you talked about the transformation, I remember running USCS in, 2002 down here. I ran Cherokee in 2004 or 5. And the crowd was not there for the sprint car race. They were there for the late models. And we were kind of, but now they're packing the grandstands for the sprint cars.
The headliners of sprint cars. Yeah.
And it wasn't like that when I ran 15 years ago with that.
Yeah. Pete mentioned this Connor Leffler kid. Man, this kid from what I'm watching on videos, and I've seen him race a few times. I'm gonna chat with him this weekend. 15 years old from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The 2 wins. He took them on the last lap. Took one off from Barger. Forget who took the other one off from. I mean, this kid is something we might want to keep an eye on. And again, here we are. We bust with gravel with the sprint car capital of Connecticut. Now we're talking a kid from South Carolina.
From Myrtle Beach.
Yeah. I mean, so great stuff. That is for sure. Just like racing components, Aggressive Hydraulics purpose builds hydraulic cylinders to perform for customer-specific application. design and manufacture of mobile-style single-stage cylinders, as well as multi-stage telescopic cylinders. No one-size-fits-all approach with Aggressive Hydraulics.
They have hydraulic solutions for virtually every industry that uses hydraulic cylinders. They proudly design and manufacture all cylinders in the United States. Check out the video of their story at aggressivehydraulics.com.
There we go. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
Pride. Passion.
Performance.
We are.
We are.
We are Team Dryden.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers, whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
You take those Hercules tires, okay, and you put them on a Ford F-150 Raptor, you got a combination, because Ford's F-150 Raptor is America's favorite high-performance off-road truck, and unlike anything on four wheels you'll see out there today, be it on the road, dirt track, desert terrain, or everything in between.
The Raptor's aluminum body is mated with a 450 horsepower, 510 foot-pound high-output twin-turbo EcoBoost engine, resulting in an unsurpassed power-to-weight ratio. The Raptor's advanced suspension and comfortable cabin means no territory is untamable, and no trip is uncomfortable.
There
Ford
you go.
F-150, built Ford tough.
Looking at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar, Bob Estie's birthday earlier, Don Edmonds. Bob Carey birthday is today. Bob Hampshire, Ernie Triplett. Boy, Saturday is Bruce Bromey Jr., Bruce Brom Jr., that is, Steve Butler, Lanny Edwards, Ralph Morgan, Vern, Flip Fritch, and Maynard Hungry Clark coming up on Sunday, so a lot of birthdays. Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, there's a couple of different things they have going on, and the one is the Sprint Car Raffle. Mm-hmm. And they're giving away, I think it's an EMI chassis this year, is what they've got. And so you've got to go to www.sprintcarraffle.com. sprintcarraffle.com. And the other thing that they have is their gift store. And I joke around about this frequently at sprintcarstuff.com. But seriously, we're sitting here, we're September 24th. Okay. We're getting close to the holidays. We're getting close to this, and I know. But I'm telling you what, if you've got a Sprint Car fan, go to sprintcarstuff.com, and you will have somebody happy at Christmas time if you've got a Sprint Car fan.
Their inventory is impressive.
Their inventory is amazing.
Yeah, and even the shirts and T-shirts and all the stuff, whoever's buying that now with the Hall of Fame, it's good stuff.
I got a couple of them. I love the Speed Racer T-shirt. I wear it all the time. And then there's one that looks like the Hot Wheels logo. And it's phenomenal. So go to sprintcarstuff.com and support the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum and all those great racers we talk about. They're all their legacies are on display at turn number 2 at Knoxville, for sure. Upcoming races, the big one this weekend is at Selinsgrove, the 38th Annual Icon Memorial Mobile Homes, Icon Legacy Mobile Homes, Jim Nace Memorial National Open, $20,000 to win. Been a great year at Selinsgrove as they've tried to find their way through COVID, and they also struggled with finding their way in the 410 world.
Yeah.
But they've had 6 races this year of the 410s. Kyle Reinhardt, Freddie Raymer, Danny Dietrich, Jason Schultz, Lance Deweese, and Anthony Macri have won. They've not had a repeat winner. All 6 of those guys will be there, and also defending winner Logan Wagner. 305 sprints on the docket. So Selinsgrove is the place to be this Saturday night up in Pennsylvania. See who cashes in the $20,000. I think Brownie's coming back. Brownie's headed back that way, so he'll be at Selinsgrove on Saturday night. So that's going to be good. World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars starts tonight. The Plymouth Speedway in Indiana. Wayne County on Friday night. That's going to be a good one, just going back to Wayne County. And then Lernerville. You can see all of that on Dirt Vision. Last call in Wisconsin, and it will be Sprint-tacular. Friday night, the Rick Schmidt Memorial, Dodge County Fairgrounds, IRA bumper-to-bumper sprints, MSA at 360s and wingless. And Saturday, Wisconsin Sprint Car Championship Checkered Classic at the Plymouth Dirt Track in Sheboygan. Yes, for sure. IRA bumper-to-bumper sprints, MSA PDTR 360s, wingless, and lightning sprints. And this is your last sprint car weekend, Wisconsin fans.
Oh.
I know. Time to get out there and get after it. Go to Sheboygan and the Dodge County Fairgrounds. Williams Grove, Fremont, St. Francis, some weekly racing, but that's getting slimmer also.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting that time of the year.
Yeah, we got gypped on this year.
We got gypped.
But I'm still thankful for what we've got.
Boy, that might be the motto for 2020. We got gypped.
Yeah.
You can use sprint car racing, but everything else.
Everything,
still.
life.
Yeah, life, exactly. So, fun stuff. Really, really cool. I'm excited because I am going to go catch up with Pete and the gang for USCS for a night or two this weekend. So, love getting out to the track, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Good times, that's for sure. Hey, Wing Nation gear is available where the All-Stars race on the All-Star Circuit of Champions trailer. Also available at www.wingnation.com. Twitter and Facebook are where we are very, very active all weekend long. YouTube page has all the great interviews, so you can go back and check those out as well. Coming up this weekend on our television program, Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit, Mark Smith. Man, I'll tell you what, that's a guy that's
had a year.
Oh, he's living right.
Yeah.
He's got it. He's got it going on. And Ashley and I had a great visit with Mark. We appreciate Pete Walton, the evangelist of sprint car racing in the Southeast, for joining us. And more important than all of that, though, thank you for joining us here on Wing Nation, the podcast presented by Drydene, by DRF Racing, and by Hercules Tires.